always find it very interesting to see the evolutions the Dragon Link and Minkanko have been going through for this format. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. So our breakdown for this event is actually kind of a very meta strong event because Dragon Link is taking the lead out here, to my surprise, honestly. The Dragon Link innovations have felt like they've been a little bit far in between, but that doesn't mean that the deck is necessarily not performing. It just needs a little bit more to be desired, in my opinion, for some of the variations and things, but extremely happy to see that. Now we have two Infernoble decks. Now one of these is going to be playing more of a Battling Boxer-centric package, which, let's call it what it is here for a second. I think more of this Battling Boxer stuff that this deck can kind of have access to and toggle through is kind of interesting. So maybe Infernoble is doing extremely well. Now we also had Unchained as well. Pretty standard, honestly. Like, if it's not a regional and Unchained's not present somewhere, do we count it for an event? We also had our Minkanko Duelist. Now, I'll be honest with you, Battle Phase Reflection deck, the little toolboxing options that the deck does, I think a lot of people do tend to underestimate the deck. They're just like, well, you know, it's Minkanko, like, you know, oh, it topped a regional, who cares? It performed. All right, like, don't underestimate this deck. Once again, the saying on this channel is if you're caught with your pants down, it's going to be an extremely bad time for everybody. We also had one Rescue Ace Duelist. Let's call it what it is at this point in time for the Rescue Ace Duelist out there. You're still performing. Your deck is extremely good. You have nothing to lose. And we have a branded player making their way into Top Cut. So strange to see a not Chimera version of branded actually doing something. And this build is extremely dedicated to needing those powerful board breakers in order to kind of keep up with the meta. Let's pass on over to those deck lists. Starting things off here, we have the power of Dragon Link. And anybody shocked about this? No, you shouldn't be. I still love the fact Triple Black Metal Dragon is the heart and soul of this deck. Make yourself a free little Link one here, convert on up, fetch your red MD, and you are off to the races. Also, this Bestial package is a lot more extended out. I mean, they're on triple Druisworm, triple Saronir, I mean, as they should be. And then, of course, you have triple copies of Lubellion for this deck as well. It's all pretty standard. Double talents in the main, siding the thrust so that they can toggle into the barrier. And then we do see that the branded beast is sided. Most of the value game one's going to go to branded regain. I mean, let's call it what it is at this point. You shouldn't be surprised about that. Like, this is literally the thing that kind of holds the deck together for the free recycling and so forth. So overall, not too bad. Also like the little Lancia tech that this build has going for it. Good showcase of good ideas. Next up here, we have our first Infernoble list. And of course, I think the new Infernoble standard is the fact that we're playing the Dia Bellstar package, right? Anybody that's not trying to play this package is doing it wrong, right? Well, it is extremely consistent, all right? It does add a lot to the warrior stuff. I see that somebody's playing Magius. It's not something that I tend to see a lot of anymore, I feel like. Side decking down here. Hey, it's the Subdiversion Snake Eye. So we get the Crystal Beast crystallized card as an access point if we need it in terms of searchability. We're also playing our Triple Thrust, and I see that we are playing a little bit something more cute for the thrust department. We can actually toggle on in to a magic deflector if need be, and then punish the opponent with this. You know, I didn't actually consider deflector being something settable off of this, but I think that actually is kind of interesting. Little things to consider. All right, what else we got going on back here? Hey, it's Unchained, and just like that, Robbie realized that it's just another Unchained deck that always tends to look the same. I'm going to be honest with you, like, a lot of the Unchained innovation kind of wrapped up out of the last YCS, where we did see one version that did gut all of the Dark Contract stuff. Problem is the Dark Contract stuff is still seen as kind of a staple for the deck. Obviously, you know, being able to turbo out Zeus is going to be a lot more friendly to a lot of people versus some other ideas. So kind of keep that in mind while you're looking at some of these versions and considering some of the tech choices. I think you're going to be stuck playing this. Unless you get extremely lucky, stick to it. Also, Hand Trap Central down. Man, this whole side deck is just covering whichever terrible matchup that you need. Okay, let's see here. Now this is the good stuff. You know, I don't know if people realize this, but Spar is not a once per turn for the special summon. It's just as long as you control a Battlin Boxer. Okay, well, on normal special, you can add a Battlin Boxer, so we just go get Spar. Alright, and then you just kind of have free special summon level 4s for like ever if you can loop this some way. Something to consider. But it's all the more little suitable for making up some of the crazier builds. I see this build's also playing Alstafo as well. Okay, I see that these Infernoble builds are getting a lot more cheesy in the ideas and things that they're bringing to the table. And of course, the Goki Power Load Ogre. Free level Link 3 warrior monster to put some pressure on the opponent. And of course, you know, the fact that I saw that we were playing Dempsey with this, I was hoping that we were going to play the Flamvell counter, but this build opted to not play, and there's nothing wrong with that, all right? Like, I love the Flamvell counter. I still think it's one of the cheesier things that you can bring to the table in a deck like this, but if you're going to play it, it's going to be strictly a side deck option, and you're going to leave it at just that, all right? Because it does end up being one of the worst dead draws that you can possibly have. Next up is our Minkanko deck, and of course, I don't know why I expected anything different from these builds, because Ken and Gen are always going to be involved in some sort of capacity here, because remember, being able to thrust into a Talents and then do whatever you want. Actually, we're playing the Change of Heart as well, so this is actually kind of interesting. The previous builds that have been successful, I haven't actually seen exploring this option tree, and this is something interesting. I can also exceed some of this by detaching 2 Xyz materials from a rank 3 or 4 insect monster. Hello, Syncada King. How are you? So you can actually drop this. Okay, I suppose the more Asagolem shenanigans that we can try to pull off also, you know, with the Geonator transfers, or I know, handing it on over to your opponent, making sure that they can't have a good time is typically the motto of a lot of what the current standard of meta actually is. And once again, we see the Subdiversion Snake Eye down here getting its job done. All right, good stuff. Next up, we have some Rescue Ace. Is there ever any innovation to Rescue Ace, or do all of these builds just forever look destined to be the same? You pick how many Diabellstar you want to play, which the optimal answer, in my opinion, is 1. I do see people that do try to push multiples. Like, I feel like you're just asking for dead draws at that point. So, and then of course, Reinforce. Most of the time, if Reinforce is typically involved, it usually ends up being a side deck choice. I don't have a problem with it in this sense. It's definitely interesting to see it being mained, or you just even seeing play at all. Outside of that, droplets for board breaking. I feel like this is becoming a lot more prevalent in this deck, especially when your opponents can start setting up a lot more of these threatening boards, and they're a lot easier to actually destroy you with. Outside of that, looks pretty easy going. Of course, don't forget the Firewall shenanigans. And our last list out of this regional is actually our branded good stuff pile. Now, we're on 13 monsters in the main deck. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's extremely low. Most of these versions try to play more, it feels like, but the fact that it feels like we're trying to conserve more resources and push more into the the monster disruption department. I mean, this build's packing in thrust, it's packing in super polys. You have, of course, the talents, droplets even. My only problem with droplet with 13 monsters, though, is if they have a negate and you don't have a monster to pitch off of this, it's just going to feel really bad. And I see that we are sporting off a copy of Fusion Duplication here. I also love the one of Imperm. Like 42 cards and you opted to play a one of. Interesting. I guess something else to set off a thrust, I suppose. So what do you think about the breakdown for this event? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.